And we welcome you back to Newsmax Now. Remember that GOP debate revolt we were talking about just yesterday? Well, according to some reports, that revolt is falling apart.
That's kind of going by the wayside. One of those reports comes from the Daily Beast. John Kasich, Carly Fiorina, and Chris Christie have all now refused to sign the GOP letter proposing debate changes. Their campaign said this Monday night. Kasich's spokesperson told the Daily Beast, quote, "We're happy the group decided to agree with us to not alter the Fox debate. As the governor of Ohio, he is used to answering tough questions all the time." A little bit of a dig there, you think?
Yeah, that's what Christie said, too. As the governor of New Jersey, I've dealt with the hardest media and whatever. Yeah. Well, now, for more on the GOP's debate revolt, or lack thereof, we're joined now by Morgan Chalfant, who's a reporter for the Washington Free Beacon, and Alex Pappas, who covers politics for the Daily Caller. Great Reporters Roundtable. Guys, thanks for being with us.
You bet.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Morgan, let's start with you. There was supposed to be this GOP revolt of the debate process, but it looks like that's dried up a bit. The next debate next week, do you expect anything to change at all from what we saw during the CNBC debate?
Well, I think the aftermath of the CNBC debate certainly reflected poorly for the CNBC moderators. There were several reports about them being sort of shell-shocked after the debates and the negative coverage of their coverage of the debates. So I think that certainly the moderators next week will sort of take that as a lesson and not behave the way that the CNBC moderators did. I also think that the candidates now are fired up against this debate structure, and we may see sort of adverse reactions from them if any moderators come at them with questions that they don't approve of.
Alex, the next debate is going to be hosted by the Fox Business Network, maybe a friendlier panel of moderators. Were you surprised? I know you've been covering this story from the get-go. Were you surprised that the revolt kind of fell apart so quickly?
A little bit. I mean, you know, the candidates were having this big meeting on Sunday, and we were kind of expecting that there would be these dramatic demands, big demands that all the candidates would come out and say, we want to scrap the whole process. And in fact, the initial news coming out that we haven't seen exactly what the demands are from that meeting exactly are going to be, was that they're more kind of minor things like Ben Carson and some of the others. They want to make sure there's opening and closing statements. They want to make sure people have fair timing, that sort of thing. So it's actually a little bit more minor demands than kind of what I expected. But I tell you what, the whole Donald Trump dropping out now of that effort, I think is totally interesting and is totally political. I mean, it makes sense to me that Donald Trump would do this because he's the guy who's the art of the deal.
Right.
Why would he let Ben Carson, whose campaign did kind of organize this whole effort, lead the thing when he's the guy who wants to show everybody, I'm the one that makes the deal. I don't want to have anything to do with all these other guys. So I think that it kind of makes a lot of political sense for Trump to get to do away with that committee.
Yeah, Morgan, RNC Chairman Reince Priebus has been making the rounds telling everyone that they have things under control since more of the candidates are choosing not to sign the letter. Does that signal that order maybe is somehow restored to the Republican Party? Is that possible right now?
I'm not entirely sure yet. I think things are really still changing. This is kind of, shortly after that meeting on Sunday night, so things are sort of still up in the air, and Trump's decision now to say he's going to go it alone and negotiate with the TV executives on his own sort of shows that he's really not under control at this point, but I think that we can't really tell exactly. I think that things are going to change over the next few days, and we'll see how it pans out. But the RNC appears to be willing to allow the candidates to do their own negotiations like this and kind of hand over a little bit more power to the candidates. So I think that's kind of the way it's going to go for the next few days.
Well, and as John brought up the other day, you were saying that them being so critical just actually helped them.
I mean, they
think donor dollars maybe changed their mind. Like, hey, we made a lot of money.
I don't know. We talked about how much money they raised after the debate, specifically Ben Carson and Ted Cruz. But, the one person I would not want to be is one of the Fox Business moderators, because I'm sure they plan these things months in advance, and now the game plan, that's what I'm trying to say, must have changed at least a little bit, and they're going to have to throttle it back a little bit. Alex, do you expect us to notice a different tone, maybe a weaker tone coming from Neil Cavuto and his team during next week's debate?
I'm not sure if a weaker tone, but I do think, I would imagine that Fox is going to try to do everything they can to show that they are different from CNBC. They are probably going to do everything they can to show that they're trying to have a substantive debate. They ran an ad, actually, saying that that's what they're going to do as opposed to what CNBC did. I think they're going to try to make it more kind of business, economic focused. I mean, that was what the CNBC debate was supposed to be, was a debate on policy differences amongst the candidates on business, on the economy, that sort of thing. And so I imagine they're going to go out of their way to try to show people that this is a real debate. I just got to say one other thing. It's the whole, I think it's been a really embarrassing episode for the Republican National Committee.
I agree.
Reince Priebus came out saying that this was going to be them taking control of the debates. He did this months ago, and now see what's happened. I mean,
you can go back and look at the growth and opportunity report they did after the 2012 election. There's some stuff in there, too, that's not so favorable to Reince Priebus. Alex Pappas from the Daily Caller, Morgan Chalfant from the Washington Free Beacon, thanks for being with us.
So to come here on Newsmax Now, a transgender teen says her school discriminated against her, but does the U.S. Department of Education agree? Find out next on Newsmax Now.